Alrighty, let's see if you can hear me. Mic check, can you guys help hear me? All right, let me try to figure out why. All right, is this a little better? And my apologies, y'all know that I'm new to streaming, so so this is better. Okay, yay, we did it. All right. All right, so if you all can hear me, that's good. That means we can go ahead and get started. Just make sure that I got everything that I want up. All right, that looks fine. Alrighty, so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to kind of do a little bit of a review from what we did last week, just talking a little bit about accessibility, some really basic steps on how you can make your sites a little bit more accessible for everyone. And then we're going to dive into some of the things that we didn't get a chance to do last week, and we'll go through what those things are. So I'm just going to pull up my PowerPoint again and just quickly go through that just as a refresher for all of us and for anybody who's new here who didn't get to see that PowerPoint. And if you want like the full thing, you can just watch the stream from last time where I go a little bit more in depth. All right, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me while I'm on this page. That there's no weird echoes. Echo again. I think it's the audio mixer. I gotta get used to that and make sure that it's mixed right. That's something I've never had to do. All right, let me know if this is a little bit better, less of an echo. Wonder why it's doing that. Okay, I see why. All right, this should help. I think I had the wrong audio on, so both of them were playing at the same time. Is this better? All right, perfect. I think it was, I guess each time I have to go in, I have to make sure that I'm on the right microphone. And, all right, so let's just get started and get through some of these slides. No, still echo. Darn. Darn. All right, let me double check again. properties default. No, we want fee fine. Okay. Properties, fee fine. Okay. All right. Any better? I think it's because I have it on the wrong one actually that I'm messing around with. Let me. Fee fine. Yep. Double check one last time. Fee fine. All right. All right. It looks like we're ready to go. All right. So we're talking about testing web pages for accessibility. And last time we talked a little bit about what web accessibility is. It's pretty much just making sure that everyone can use our web pages, whether they have permanent disabilities, temporary disabilities, like injuries, or if they have situational impairments, like maybe they're outside and it's too bright for them to see on their screen. They're in an area that's really loud, or maybe someone's holding a baby and can only use one hand at that time. And we want to make sure that assistive technology users are able to use our pages. So people who are using things like screen readers or magnifiers or speech to text and text to speech and things like that. All right. And we should care because of all of that. A nice fact to know is that 20% of all people in general have a disability. And the main thing to think about here is just that really a lot of times people don't tell you they have a disability, right? So there's a lot of people walking around with silent disabilities who may not be able to use things at the way that maybe we're using things. All right, so we talked about this as well. Lots of people benefit from web accessibility. People with physical injuries like fine motor injuries who use only keyboards, people with cognitive delays, people with hearing impairments, low vision, and also people who are neurodivergent. All right, and some of the things that we need to make sure that our websites are accessible is we need at least a little bit of an understanding of HTML and CSS. You don't necessarily have to know JavaScript, but it definitely helps to have an understanding of it. We have to understand what ARIA is, which is our accessible rich internet applications. These are just extra information that we put on our elements to give extra information to assistive technology users. And we want to remember that for ARIA, we want to make sure that we're using semantic HTML first. And if the semantic HTML cannot help with whatever we're trying to do to make accessible or seen, then we'll default to ARIA. And then we talked a little bit about screen readers. Some of the screen readers are like JAWS, VoiceOver for Mac, Narrator for Windows, and NVDA, which is open source and can be used with Windows. We also talked about some browser accessibility checkers, and I'll probably use these again today. I guess we'll see if we use them. And these are some of them. We'll definitely be using Lighthouse. I'm very excited to show you the accessibility tree. That's one of the things we'll be talking about today. All right, so we know we need a keyboard if we want to test for keyboard access. We need some type of magnifier, and we probably need a contrast checker and some browser extensions that will catch what our manual testing doesn't catch. All right, so we won't go through this because we already kind of talked about it. Already talked about this as well. So one of the new things that we didn't get to talk about that I wanted to kind of talk to you all about are the core principles of web accessibility. These are the things that we want to always keep in mind when we're building our pages because they're pretty important. So there are 4 core principles to web accessibility. The first one is that everything that we have on our page is perceivable. So we want to make sure that, perceivable to me may not mean perceivable to you. So if I can see and you can't see, right, that changes how we're kind of taking in information. So we want to make sure that our information can be conveyed through sight, hearing, or touch. Okay, we want to make sure that everything on our page is operable, meaning it can be used by everyone. So we want to make sure that they're compatible with a keyboard or a mouse for those users. We want to make sure that everything on our page can be understood. And I think sometimes we don't really think about this, but there are people using our websites who may have some cognitive delays or situational delays or ADHD or dyslexia, who would benefit from having your information laid out in a way that's structured and organized and easy to understand. And then we want to make sure that it's robust, which just means that it works with different technologies. It works across different browsers. A lot of people use Internet Explorer in different countries. So little things like that are, I think, things we don't really think about a lot. We also want to make sure things can be used on a mobile device and on older devices and browsers, because not everyone has the most, the fanciest hardware to use. So we want to make sure everyone can use it. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to do today. And I'm going to actually take myself off of this so you can see it. And then make sure that my properties, okay. I'm guessing that there is no echo because everything's on the right one. All right, so today we're gonna use Google Lighthouse DevTools to look at the accessibility tree. I think the accessibility tree is really cool to look at because it kind of lays out for you how assistive technology is kind of reading the page and sending it back to the user. And it gives us some good information. We're also going to fix the links on my page to make them more accessible. And I think this is pretty important to talk about because a lot of websites only use color to convey that a link is a link. And I made that mistake as well. So we're going to talk about how to make links actually accessible so that everyone can use them and understand that this is a link. And we'll be talking about how to add underlining for hovering. And I'll just show you guys that when we get to that. And we want to think about the fact that we want to make sure that as we're hovering, something changes other than the color. And the reason we want to make sure that something changes other than the color is because a lot of people are colorblind. You probably know colorblind people and just don't know it, right? 1 in 12 men have color blindness. And I have a lot of interesting stories about learning that someone was colorblind, just from like them not being able to see certain things and me being like, why don't you understand like that color has changed? So that's really important to think about. We also are going to work on making sure that the logos on the page can be read by a screen reader. We got stuck on that last time, so we'll work on it today. And we're going to talk a little bit about ARIA. We talked about that earlier. ARIA is basically just that extra information that we're going to get, and we want to make sure we're using HTML first and then ARIA if we're going to have to use it. Ooh, and Emma Dawson Dev said, don't just do it on hover, but also on focus. Not every device has hover states. Absolutely. So if anything, if I get stuck on that, Emma, I hope that you help me because I might not have that in mind. All right. So the other thing that we might work on, but I'm not sure if we're going to work on it today, is making a link that skips to the main section. And I'll show you all what that looks like. All right, so let's get over to our actual page. All right, so we're going to get into some coding right now. And I think last time we spent a lot of time just trying to explain things and in a general way. And today we're going to kind of get our hands a little bit more dirty and actually code and take our time to figure out what works and what doesn't. Oakley dokley. So here is my code. For some reason, my terminal is not working. Every time I put new terminal, it disappears. Don't know what that's about. So I'm going to use like my terminal in my actual computer to do what I got to do. All right, I got that error from my SQL because I'm trying to move everything from MongoDB to SQL and I haven't done it yet. So don't roast me. All right, I'm actually going to change screens so that I can see a little bit better. All right, here is the web page we're going to be working on, and here's our code. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, and the first thing that we said we were going to do, let me get my handy dandy notes out because I got some notes. All right, for anyone new here who hasn't seen this project before, this is basically a website that I created to help people who work at a computer all day take a stretch break. You can kind of think about it as like stretch break Pomodoro if you want. So basically we have an area up here with a bunch of links. Right now, actually on Hover, I just realized, is that for everything? No, it's just for up here that you get that nice like hover with a different color. And this is like something that I took from the internet because I liked how it looked. But basically when you go down here, you're able to start your timer and then choose a stretch. So right now, all the stretches are just GIFs of yoga videos that I made, and eventually all of these will include different developers that I've met who want to be a part of this project, so that they'll be also demonstrating some stretches. And then down here, we have an area where we can create a profile and sign up. And I'm pretty sure none of this is accessible, but we'll probably do this on another day to make sure that my sign up sheets look good and that they're doing what they need to do. But for now, what we're going to start with is, let's see, what should we do first? Okay, so what I was trying to say was, do you see how when I go over some of these links, the only thing that's really changing is the color? That is not enough because if someone is colorblind, they're not going to know. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and try to fix these logos because right now the screen reader is not reading them. So I'll turn the screen reader on and show you that. And then I think up here last time when we were trying to do this, like the screen reader said some nonsense that we couldn't figure out like what that was about. So we'll try to fix that as well. I'm not quite sure like what happened with that, to be honest. All right, so if we are trying to look at our focus, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the CSS on the page, which should be here. And then we're going to look for, like, where's my hover? I have so much in here. Okay, so right now it looks like we have a couple that are hovers. Just trying to make sure. All right. So what I want to do is make everything have an underline. And add the focus. So Emma, you might need to help me out here. But from my understanding, and just to let you guys know, this is the first time I'm doing this myself. I'm pretty sure that what we would use is focus, right? So if, and this is like, let's start somewhere. Okay. This would be the hover. And if we wanted to do a focus, would it be focus? And then we add whatever we need here. Let's just say A for now. Okay, so one is for hover and the other one is for focus. And for anybody confused about hover and focus, hover is basically when we're hovering like this, and then focus would be tabbing. So right now, my focus is only giving me that. But what I kind of want to do, if I'm going to keep it real, is I want to steal what I have up here because this works for me. I think that this would be enough to kind of get me where I want to go. So I'm trying to remember how I did this. I should have did this beforehand, but we're going to just struggle together and work on it. So maybe if I go to nav, I think it might be in nav. Or I probably put it in here actually. Yep, here it is. Nav link cover. Okay. So if and let me just show y'all. If I go here, this is my nav, and here's my nav link hover. Okay. And then I'm guessing somewhere on here would be a focus. Wait, let me see what it looks like when I focus. Nope, because there is no focus. Focus is just giving us this box around. But I think the box around is good enough for us to be good for our focus. So we have like a box, however, and the box is thicker, so we can actually see that it's going around it. So I think that's fine. So really all we have to do is add the hover, and I'm just gonna steal this and just put it here. And if we, how would I make everything, all the links? Would I just put A? I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna work. Oops, what happened here? All right, Emma says the focus outline looks pretty good. Okay, so Emma, and by the way, for anyone watching, Emma is our in-house accessibility guru. She does this for her job. So she's been teaching me some stuff, and she also has a really cool project, an open source project that I'm working on her with, that gives us some accessibility information. I think it's called Accessibility Dev, right? Could be wrong about that. All right, so I think if I put a hover, that this would work, but I could be wrong. Double check. All right, let's just see what happens if I do that. Let's just see. All right. I don't know if it's gonna work, but it would be pretty cool if it did. Oh no. I think I messed something up. Let me see what I just did wrong. No? Okay, I thought it messed my layout out, but that's fine. All right, let's try that again. If I put it right here, oh my God, I think it worked. No, it didn't. Darn. All right, maybe I have to be a little bit more specific. So let's see what I call this. Maybe if I use the ID names or the class names. Maybe buttons. I think maybe if I put okay, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe if I put buttons instead of links, because I think that these are buttons. So here's one of my buttons. These are they buttons though? Here are, yeah, they're buttons basically. And button again. But these down here, and let me see if I need this too. Yeah. So these down here are, these are links though. So I don't know why that didn't work. CSS. All right, let's see if we put, button. If that does anything. I might need to change where it is on the style sheet. Ah, yes! Oh, that's so ugly though. Ooh. I don't care, it works. Okay, see, it only works for, okay, so I see what it is. So these are buttons, basically. They're like named as buttons, so that's why they're doing that. But these are not named as buttons. These are like something else. So let me see. Let me see. Index. What do we call these? So what I'm wondering is if I just put in the ID timer buttons, would that make everything in that div? Would that select everything in that div? And let me put this view on word wrap. All right, let's just try it and see what happens. So we got the button. So maybe if I put in timer button with the hover. Let me make sure that's actually what it's called. So this area right here is what I'm talking about. These are all my buttons. So the ID for all of these are timer buttons. So my brain is telling me that this should work. Make sure I spelled it right. Dang, that's so weird. But now it does the whole, okay, I see. So it does the whole thing because I literally told it to do the whole thing. I don't want it to do that. That looks weird. So it looks like I'm gonna have to look at it again. And I don't want to put, I mean, All right, I'm just going to see if this works and then I'll figure it out from there. I'll probably have to like do this input type. If that doesn't work, you can try input type equals button. You think that would work for this? Like these? If I put input type but oh, because the input type is button. Duh. Thank you. Okay. I don't know. I've never done that before, so I might get this wrong. But if I do it like this, is that a thing? Never done that before. I don't know if I did that syntax correctly. This seems weird. Yeah, I feel like I'm writing this wrong. I don't know. I'm going to come back to that and just like see if that works in another way. But oh, really? Okay. Learning something new today. No, like this. And then I'm going to put hover. Okay. And then let's say background color. I feel like something is weird here. CSS L bracket expected. What? Maybe if I get rid of the brackets, this will work. I don't think this is gonna work. It's looking like it won't. It's giving me the red squigglies. This is where I go to Google. I need a space after hover. Space after hover? Still getting the squigglies for some reason. I just need an example. Add the square brackets back? Oh my gosh, okay, let me see. This looks funky. Nell asks, why isn't the color box showing? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, the color box. Okay. Yeah, why isn't it showing? What's happening here? I don't know. I did something wrong, but I'm not sure about this one. This is something I think I'll have to come back to and like Google a bunch and figure out what the exact syntax is. So I'm just going to leave it here for now. and comment it out so that I can come back to it later. Because I do want to learn how to do this, but I think I'm just writing it wrong. So for now, my workaround is going to be a very annoying one, which is to just take the IDs and see if it works that way. All right, let's see if that does it. And I'm going to comment this one out because that one's making like the whole, no, is it not? It's not this one. It's the other one that's making it, the whole thing do it. Okay. So at least the very annoying workaround works. I'm sure there's a better way to do this than what I'm about to do. So roast me if you need to. But that's how I'm going to do it. I could add the same class to each button and then I wouldn't have to do this. Let's call these hover button. I think that's all in 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. So if we have that, then I can do these up here and then put all right, so I've given all of these a class of hover button. So if I give this a class of hover button, it should work. And then that means I can get rid of this redundancy. Yes! Oh, that means I still have this one I gotta do because I don't like how that looks. That makes me mad. I want the whole thing. I don't know if it'll work if I do that, but let's see if it works. Let's go down to the ground and my buttons are right here. So let's just put it right here, class. Class. All right, let's see if that works. Boo. I guess that's just how it's gonna be, but that's fine. Emma, no, don't be quiet, please. You're not being annoying. You're helpful. Thank you so much. Okay. So Nell asked earlier why the color box isn't showing. I don't know if I like was able to answer that at all, but that's interesting. Let me see if the other ones are doing that. No, maybe it's because I put link. I wonder why this one doesn't like go all the way. Probably a weird thing. All right, so what is the border radius? Is it the LI? Oh, what has the border radius? Is it the LI? Let's see. I don't think I put a board. No, it should be. Ooh, we gotta find that. It's somewhere in here. What did I call this? And that would probably be in this icon brands. Okay, yeah, here's the border radiuses. All right, I'll put this on the back burner as something to work on later to make it look better. So I'm gonna add it to my notes. Work on button border radius to make them look better. Alrighty. We always make a joke in a 100 Doves about styling buttons and how people get jobs doing this. So at least I will be able to style a button if I need to. Okay, so double check, make sure everything looks how it's supposed to look. All right, so we got some hovering that makes sense. There's not just one indication that we are on stuff, and we know that we can tab through. So actually, well, yeah, this should be fine too, because you can actually see this. I think that works. But one thing that I'm noticing that I hadn't thought about before is the borders around my buttons probably would, can you show that? A create profile button? I think you got create button. Okay, create profile. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a link inside of a button, which is why it's doing that weird thing, because I put for it to do wait, am I not supposed to have links in buttons? Is that like a faux pas? But let me go to it. I'm pretty sure. Images. Nope. Sign up. Create profile. Where are you? Yeah. So I don't know if I. Oh no, nested. Oh, echoey. Hold on. All right, am I still echoing? Okay, so darn. Let's see. Audio properties. I am using Fifine. Test, still echoing. right. Might be this audio capture thing that's a little weird. Okay, so Emma brought up a really good point, which is that we shouldn't have any nested activity. It looks like I have a button that is also a link. And off the top of my head, I'm trying to think, like, let me see how I did the other ones. Why is my button in a div? You know what? That's a great question. So some of this, I think this one is when I redid my page, like this is like my passion project that I just play around with to learn how to code. And I think this had something entirely different in it. Like this was a different section and I moved it around. So this doesn't really need to be in a div, I'm pretty sure. That doesn't really make a lot of sense that it's in a div. Thanks for catching that. All right, let me see if that messes up anything if I do that. It'll probably like, oh, it didn't mess up anything, so I didn't need it. If I want to make this a link that still looks like this, I guess I would just get rid of, like, literally just get rid of the button, right? And then I would have to add the style through, make sure I'm doing this right. I would have to add the style. See if that works. I could be wrong about that. I would have to add the style through CSS, essentially, right? But then again, I'm like, what about these ones? Did I put those in a button too? No, I didn't. I might work on that later. Button class. I'm just double checking something real fast. All right, let's see if that works. Class equals button. Let's see what that does. Real tears, y'all. Real tears. Thank you. It worked! Oh my gosh, CSS. All right, this is really exciting. I'm sorry. I love it. Oh my gosh. Did we just spend like 30 minutes on buttons? Yeah, that's what happened. And I'm totally okay with that. Oh man, I'm like emotional right now. I'm so proud. Okay, so all of my buttons are accessible, which is really exciting. And now, hopefully, anyone who watches this afterwards, who's not here with us live, they will have learned how to make an accessible button and know that we shouldn't be nesting things in buttons, nesting links in buttons at least, because that is kind of confusing. So I think we can say we did this part. Wow, we've already been at it for an hour. I think I have like 15 more minutes of juice in me. So let me see what's on my list that we could kind of do really fast. I don't think I can do anything really fast, honestly. I thought this was going to be the fast one. All right, let's see what else is on here. Oh, I can show y'all the accessibility tree, which is what I meant to do first. So let me show you how you would kind of go in here and look at the accessibility tree. And the accessibility tree is just showing us kind of how the browser is reading what's on the page. It's kind of like the DOM, but for accessibility. So to do that, we're going to use our inspect tool, and we're going to go to, so down here we have all these links right here. We're going to go to accessibility, and right here, this is what we're used to looking at, which is our kind of like our DOM that shows like whatever is rendered on the page. It's showing us that version of it over here, right? So if we want to see how this is going to look on our accessibility tree, we would click this little guy. I don't know why it's a little guy like this, but that's what it is. And you'll see kind of what's on the page, and this probably looks really small. Let's see if I can make it bigger. No, it doesn't make that bigger. I don't know. Hopefully you can kind of see it, but pretty much this is giving us all of our sections, our headings, everything that's in our images. So whatever our alt text is giving us, you know, I have some line breaks in here. It's giving us our headings. It's showing us where the buttons are. So this is really good to look at. It also kind of tells you whether or not what you have on here is focusable, which is good to know, because all the things that you need to be focusable would be all of your links and anything that a person who's using a keyboard would need to access. So this is a really cool thing to kind of look at and know exists, I think, personally. All right, so we still have a few things left on my list, but I want to make sure that I'm nice and fresh for y'all and that I can actually go over it. So it looks like I'll probably end up spending like one day on each problem and then just going over how I code it. And it may be fast, it may be slow, but I really, really appreciate your help, Emma. And thanks for being here, Nell, and catching some stuff for me. This was super helpful. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. But before we hop off, does anybody have any questions or comments or want to do a stretch before we leave? That's how we ended it last time. All right, looks like no one has any questions. So, let's stretch. All right, do you guys want to do eyes, neck, shoulders, or hands? Hands, my fave. All right, let's see what the stretch gods give us. Ooh, nice and easy. So wrist flexion and extension. So pretty much for this one, hopefully I'm not echoing on this new screen, but we're just gonna go ahead and bring our hands straight out. So it looks like I'm locking my elbows, but I'm kind of like, you know, I'm not tightly holding them here, but we're just gonna raise. We're gonna inhale and raise our wrists and then exhale and put them down. And then I usually like to do like 10 of these. So inhale. And then and shake it out. All right, we'll do one more hand for the road. All right, and I'll show you what this one is. So this one is thumb to fingertip, and we'll just do them together. And the tip for this one is to really extend your hands, like extend them all the way and then bring them all the way in. So you have some like tension. And I usually do this like 5 times on each side. Alrighty. Appreciate y'all for hanging out. I will be here next week, but next week will be a little different because I'm going to be streaming with someone else. So I will give you all the details on that on Twitter. But see you next week. Peace out.